Happy Monday, knitters. I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool, and welcome back to my channel. It is a Monday, which means I have got two brand new starts to share with you. I've got update on last week's knitting projects. One went well, one I fell really short on, but that's okay. And I have the winner of the Fall Colors Dishcloth Challenge to announce. So stick around. If you entered that, I will announce that winner at the end. Okay, dishcloth. This was my one successful project this week. It was this tiny little dishcloth. It was the week before Halloween, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to get one more Halloween colored dishcloth done. So I had this little bit of orange. Bernat Handicrafter Hot Orange was the colorway, and I had this big cone of the black. I wanted to stretch the orange out a little bit, so I just did about 5 ridges of black, which is 10 rows in garter stitch, and then I started striping just to stretch my orange out, and then of course ended up with the equal amount top and bottom. I guessed pretty close on how far to increase out. I just eyeballed this, and I thought I didn't want to go too much taller. I mean, I guess I could have done more black, and then I could have increased out to a full-size dishcloth. But in the end, I thought this black little corner was getting big enough. So I just went this size, left it, started striping, did an educated guess as to how much orange I had left, because it was just a teeny tiny bit, because this is my third 2-colored dishcloth out of that one ball of Handicrafter. So I decided to go increase up. I think I increased up to 31 stitches. And then I started decreasing, got down to here. And now one little tip, if you ever tried doing this, because oh yes, what I did. So here, because I thought to myself, okay, I want these to be even. So I thought, okay, make note. I had increased, I cast on my 3 stitches, I increased out till I had 15 stitches. So I thought, make mental note, Louise, when you're decreasing, when you get down to 15 stitches, that's when you switch to black, which is what I did on my first go around, until that would have worked out well, I guess, if the cast on and cast off end were done the same, which they weren't. When I was working up to the top here, I had my 15 stitches. I started doing my decreases every row. And then when I do my point up here, I work until I have 5 stitches left. With those 5 stitches, that's my cast off row. So when I did that, I looked at the 2 corners and I'm like, dang, this one was too short because I'd only worked down to 5 stitches. And so I missed a couple of rows in there. So that was all right. I just pulled it back. I pulled it back a couple of extra rows, and then I was able to get in the exact same number of ridges, which left me with my 5 stitches. And then I cast off, and it was all good. So anyways, look at that. So sometimes, I don't know what's the moral of that story. Sometimes when you think you have it planned out and you think you've got it all worked out, sometimes you don't. But that's the thing. The good thing about knitting, right? It's just knitting. It's just stitches. You pull them out, you pick the stitches back up, and you can fix it easy as anything, right? So didn't take me long. It's finished. So that is my one dishcloth for the week. Still keeps me on track for getting 52 done by the end of the year. And this is what I had left. Just this little teeny tiny little bit. I've got a scrappy dishcloth already started downstairs. Just kind of sits on my coffee table. I will just knit this little bit into it, and this one ball will be 100% done, and my ball band is already set aside to go into my ball band box. So that was dishcloth. Okay, let's move into the sweater. That was my second start from last week. I had, you guys must have laughed like crazy at me last week when I said, oh, I'm gonna get this whole body up with the sweater knit. Well, I don't know. It sounded good at the time, but then I really didn't start so I said that on Monday. I really didn't start the sweater till Friday. Just, I don't know. It just, the week just got busy and I just didn't have time. And it just, I think it just really kind of confirms what I've always said about, getting started. And I find starting is the hardest part. Just finding the needles, getting your gauge swatch, blocking, measuring, everything. Because once you get all that stuff done, then it's easy. It's just there. You can pick it up and you can work on it. And every night after work, it just seemed I couldn't find the right needle size. I wanted to try, because I wanted to try a different, I wanted to switch. I thought the needles I had shown you last week in my gauge swatch, I wanted to try a smaller, because I didn't get gauge. So I had to go down to a smaller needle size. Well, then I couldn't find a needle. And it was just like one thing after another, right? So it wasn't until Friday that I actually got started. So right off the bat, I knew I wasn't going to get a whole sweater done in a weekend, or like the body. So, but I did get it started. So I'll show you that in a second. But the good thing about my sweater knitting is that I bought a book. This is the book I showed you. The copy I showed you last week was from the library. This one I just went out and purchased, because I've had this book out of the library quite a few times since I saw it. I think I first saw it in the spring, early spring, or well, late winter, early spring, I guess. Just before everything kind of came to a complete stop in the whole world. I had found this book, and I don't know if I ever told you the story about that, but when I walked into the library, the book was sitting like this on the shelf. It wasn't just the spine, but this whole book, and it was just like it jumped off, literally almost jumped off the shelf at me. I ran over and grabbed it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, a brand new knitting book, and it's on sweaters. I was in love. It was fantastic. I know, for me, it was so exciting. So since that time, I've taken this book out of the library a few times, and finally I just thought, you know what? I feel like I am monopolizing this book. I need to just go buy it. So it frees up the copy in the library for other knitters who can take this out and enjoy it. And I'm also feel good because I'm supporting the author and the designer and this lovely knitter too by buying her book. And it'll be just a welcome addition to put on my bookcase. So let me show you what my sweater is going to look like. It is called the Seaside Pleated Cardigan. And there it is. Doesn't that look lovely? So there was a lot of comments because I had asked you guys about the sleeve length. This is like a 3/4 length sleeve. And I was debating because I was like, oh, do I want to do 3/4? Do I want to do full length? Da, 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 da. Will I be cold? Will I be whatever? So I don't know what, I think you got 3/4 length sleeves went out. A lot of people said, had good arguments for both ways. And this comment that I'm going to tell you, this was said a few times. And the first time I read it, it just really made me laugh about, like you can push sleeves up, but if they're not there, you can't pull them down kind of thing. I don't know how it was worded. Anyways, that is so true. Yeah, you don't have the option, right? If you knit a full length sleeve, if you're hot, you can push it up. But if you're cold, you can't pull it down. Can't pull down what's not there. Good point. Then other people said, it's a pain. It's a pain to be pushing up your sleeves, and then do they stay up and they'd fall down? Just knit 3/4. And somebody else said, Louise, since you've never done 3/4 length sleeves, try it and see what you think. So I think I'm going to try 3/4 length sleeves. We'll find out pretty quick if I like them or not. I think I'm going to try it. Why not? Why not? Let me actually show you the sweater. So I did have to go down a needle size. What I showed you last week was a 4.5 millimeter. I went down to a 4. I am a loose knitter, so it's not a surprise that I have to go down in needle size. Are you guys ready for a laugh? Okay, this is from the knitter who thought I was going to have a whole sweater body done. This is what I got done on the weekend. I can't even remember now if I finished the gauge swatch on Friday. Did I start maybe I started this Saturday. Does that redeem myself a little bit if I say I knit this over Saturday and Sunday? But it started. I've got gauge. Mind you though, I don't know. When I'm knitting it, I keep wanting to stretch it because I think it feels a little tighter than I would like. But I'm just gonna keep going. Anyways, and you know the other funny part was, so look at this. So I've got this on, I don't know what length needle this is. Fairly long, but I knit this forever on a 16-inch needle. And because I couldn't find, I know, isn't this terrible? Remember I told you I've got to sort through my nails. I couldn't find a fixed long 4mm needle. And then it took me a little while. These are tips. These are actually square. I'm not sure if these are, it's not going to tell me on here. I don't know if this is a Knitter's Pride, but they're square. I don't know if you can see the ridge on there, but they're square. And they're fine to knit with. I don't think I'd ever knit with them before. I just bought them and put them in the box I keep my needles in. So they knit fine. And this is it. So top down, it's got really nice increased lines here. So this is my front of the cardigan. And where's the other? There. So increased line, you see that there's one and there's the other one. So this is a sleeve. And this is the back. Where does the back go to? From here to here's the back. So you can see I've got markers in here. And then obviously we're going to keep coming around the body. So this is the other arm sleeve. And my itty bitty little front. So it is, you know, it's a simple knit, just back and forth, working on increases. The only thing that I have to check, I checked my stitch gauge, and it is 20 stitches over 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So just kind of your typical, okay, let me show you this. I don't know, you guys, I don't know. Okay, look at this. Okay, it's like warning bells are going off in my head here. But I'm thinking, okay, no, see, well, maybe it's okay. Maybe it just needs, you know, it's like right here. Up here is not puckering. It's like puckering, isn't it? I don't know. I'm going to keep knitting a little bit and see if that stays like that. Will it block out? Isn't that what we always say? Will it block out? What's the other side doing? Is it doing it on this side too? Well, yeah, it is kind of. Oh, see, this is what happens when I knit to a pattern. I pick it apart too much. I much prefer, instead of making my fabric fit to a pattern, I like to get my fabric and then play with the numbers to fit it to my body. I feel like I'm doing the opposite thing here with this. But anyways, I'm going to keep going. I'll keep going. And we'll see. I've got about half a ball knit into it. It's getting nice and squishy now. We'll see. I'll just keep going. Keep an eye on that and see. Is it doing it in the center too? Kind of is. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Guess we'll come back next week and we will see what is what. Have I kept going or have I pulled it out and readjusted something? I'm going to think a little on that. What I was going to say though is that I checked my stitch gauge. I checked, I measured across here. You guys all know about gauge, right? Oh, and you guys said you were interested in a gauge video. So I have got like almost been formulating like a gauge series. You know, and you're probably saying, oh my gosh, a series? One gauge video might be more than you want to sit through and listen to, right? But I've got a lot to say on gauge. So I'm working on kind of putting my thoughts together and getting some samples and things ready. But what I was going to say now is when you check your stitch gauge, you put your knitting cross and you measure. And that's what's determining, you know, how big around the circumference is around your, like your chest, how that's going to fit. I did not check my row gauge. And on a top-down sweater, I got to be really careful about my row gauge. So rows, I'm going to measure this way. I'm going to measure how many rows I'm getting in an inch. So I'll measure it over 4 and then divide it down to see what I'm getting for 1. And I think the pattern maybe is called for 26 rows over 4 inches. I have not checked that, but I will measure my row gauge here in a little bit, because where that is going to make a difference is as I'm knitting down for where you want to divide for the armholes, this needs to be a certain length. Your row gauge is what's going to determine this correct length. So if I'm not getting the correct row gauge as the designer, when she tells me to knit, I don't know, 50 rows or something, I could knit 50 rows, and if my gauge, my numbers aren't adding up, I'm either going to have a really, 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 really long, like a deep armhole, or if I'm short, it's going to be really snug and fit really tight under the arm. I'm going to check my row gauge, and then I will adjust if I need to do more or less rows to get this armhole depth, because this is where your sweater fit really comes into play. You got 2 areas. You've got how it fits on your shoulder and the armhole depth. Those are the 2 key parts. So I really want to make sure that I've got that dead on, so I get a nice fit. So that's that. So that's my thought process on the sweater knitting for right now. But other than that, I'm liking it. I like the yarn. It's my Patton's Classic Wool in the Mercury colorway that I have a bazillion balls of. So I don't need to worry if my gauge is off a little bit and I use up a little more yarn, because I have got lots. So I'm just going to keep working on this week. Maybe I will give myself a really, I was going to say, easy to obtain goal. Maybe get to the armholes by next Monday. Maybe that I need to really, maybe this whole knit sweaters in two weeks is if you're on vacation. I don't know. Or, I mean, she does say in there that you have to be very motivated, which I mean, things like dedicate all meal prep, clean up, you know, like really every waking minute is just sitting and knitting. She also does say that that is not, well, you know, I was getting my projects mixed up. And anyways, just let's forget that little blurby, because she does, okay, no, I'll just tell you anyways. She does do a 4-day sweater challenge as a knit along. So if you're ever interested in that, find her on Facebook. She just did one back in the summer. I think we did it over like their July 4th or Independence Day weekend. 4-day knit along. Yeah. So now she says that is not a realistic goal, because that is like four full days and evenings of knitting nonstop, which is, you know, hard on your body if you do that too much. But to do it over a 4-day long weekend, you know, once a year or something, is kind of a fun challenge if you want to try that. But yeah, 2 weeks to do a sweater? I don't know. I'm not going to make it this time. Maybe another time I'll try it again and see. We'll see how far I get with this one. Maybe, you know, maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks. Knitting, and all my sweaters lately have been done on like a super chunky, super bulky yarn. So now to go down to a worsted weight, it does feel really tiny. And on a 4mm versus a 7mm. It all of a sudden, yeah, it's just really, really not knitting up super fast. But this, oh, I grabbed the, oh, well, anyways, I'm holding it, so we'll talk about this. This is my new cast on for this week. I pulled these 2 balls. These are both classic wool. This is just a navy, and this doesn't have a ball band on it either, so I'm not sure what the colorway is of this. This seems almost a little counterproductive because I just pulled this off the shelf over here. We found this when we were sorting yarn in one of the last sorting videos, which I know I haven't done one for a couple of weeks, and that is that's a whole other story. But there will be one coming because I'm not finished. Anyways, we'll talk about this. So I pulled this off the shelf. We sorted it, I put it on the shelf, and then I pulled it right back off to cast on today because, I don't know, I kind of like those 2 colors together. And I'm going to do a color work cowl. I'm just making it up as I go. I've cast on some stitches. I've got a 4.5mm needle. I'm going to do a little bit of ribbing around the bottom. And then I have this motif. I'm just going to use one motif. And I think I'm going to alternate, do one round pointing this way, and then alternate the next round, switch the motif to go point the other way. I think that's what I'm going to plan on doing. Main color is going to be the light blue, mostly because I have more of it. Don't have a whole lot of this navy. And then that'll be my pattern color. That'll be my contrasting color. And then this will go into the Christmas box. So this is just mostly going to be kind of a play around because I want to try to find my perfect sizing for my cowl, as in circumference around and the height. I pretty much know kind of how the height, I know what I want, so I'm just going to see if I can actually translate that into stitches and see if I can knit kind of the size that I'm looking for. I don't want something that's going to be super, super too tight that when you pull, like, you know, it's going to be too tight or really snug pulling it over, but I don't want it really loose because I really want it to actually truly be warm. So we'll see. This is going to be my prototype, and I figure it will fit somebody. If it's, and I've kind of gone a little on the smaller side because I know I don't want it to be really like to hang, right? You know what I mean, right? Like I want it to be close enough that it'll be warm, but not super tight. So I went a little on the smaller side, and if it ends up being a child size, then that'll be fine too. So that is new start number 1. Second new start is my dishcloth. And that is this. I pulled off a ball. It's, you know, I have to say this is really actually quite nice knowing where my balls are on all of these shelves. I wanted some dishcloth cotton. So instead of having to go to, you know, a bin or a bucket or a tote and kind of dig through, I knew exactly what shelf it was on. And I pulled out this, I love this cotton. I was really tempted to pull out some Christmas dishcloth colors, but I didn't. I thought for the next couple of weeks, I'm not going to do Christmas colors yet. So this is this. It's kind of a pinky, mint green, little lavender speckles in there. It's really pretty. And the color, what is the name of this? Do these ones have names? Yes, they do. Delicate. And that's exactly what it looks like, doesn't it? Delicate. These are going to be Christmas gifts. So I'm going to do a couple out of here. And this is, I'm just going to do my super simple diamond dishcloth and just let those pretty colors show up nice. And I want something that's quick because I got to catch up on this sweater. I don't need a dishcloth that I need to think too much about. So this is just going to be quick and simple. Get them done, get them knit so I can put them in the Christmas box. Oh, but you know what else? I did cast on. I did cast on an extra project last week. After we chatted on Monday, I decided that, I don't know if I was doing a Zoom called Knit Night, and I thought, okay, I need something to knit. My dishcloth was almost finished, and I thought, okay, I need something more than this because I was going to finish it and I would have nothing to knit. My sweater, doing the increases, I needed to kind of keep track, and I needed, to watch my knitting, see where I was with my markers, and then the increase rows also change. It's not like you're just doing an increase and then so many plain, or it's an increase in a plain, increase plain, increase plain, increase plain. But every once in a while, one of those increases changes and you do extra increases. So you got to keep track of your rows. So I just thought, doesn't sound like a knit night project. So I cast on something else because, I needed something in between a dishcloth and a sweater. You guys are going to be like, I know what she cast on. I guess, can I say this is my favorite pattern to do for a scarf? I guess it is because it's my go-to now, isn't it? Mistake rib. So this is going to be a Christmas knit too. I love this color. It's like black and gray with white in there. Just so universal, neutral. I like the width of this scarf. I don't think I've measured it. I just eyeballed it and I thought, okay, I like this better. I do have to say and I am using straight needles too, because this is what I could find. I really need to sort my needles out. Well, I guess we are getting towards the end of the year, and I have done these new starts since January. So I guess that makes sense why most of my needles are missing, is because they're already on projects. I had to dig into my straight needles, and you know what? They worked fine. Oh yes, I cast on. And so you guys all know my last latte cake scarf and how I kept saying, I'm like, oh, it's too thin. Every time I picked up that scarf, that was the first thought that ran through my head was, it's too narrow. It's too narrow. But now, once I put it on, it was okay. This one, I had to start twice because I only put on, I don't know, so many stitches, and I did a little bit. I'm like, this is too narrow again. Pulled it out, cast on extra stitches, and I'm really glad that I did because I didn't have that much done. And now I like this width better. So mistake rib or uneven rib, again, easy peasy. Love the texture. It's reversible. The edges lie flat. Nothing to not like about this pattern. But it's still not really an excuse, right? This much still doesn't make up for the rest of the body of the sweater, does it? I just totally got distracted this week, which is fine because you know what? Knitting is meant to be fun, and I'm not going to stress about it. That I got this sweater. My mind is thinking sweater, and I was trying to say scarf all at the same time. I got the sweater started. It's cast on. Now I'm set to go. So the rest of this week, I'm going to work on the sweater and my new cowl. I really had this urge to do color work. I think color work and winter kind of go together. And we got our first snowfall on the weekend. So I don't know, maybe that's what made me think I needed to do a color work project. Okay, I think that is all the knitting that I've done last week. Wasn't a crazy amount, but you know what? It is what it is, and this is a brand new week. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get to the armholes. I think that's a better, more realistic goal. Get my dishcloth finished and work on the cowl. Do some color work. Dishcloth winner. You guys, it was so fun to see all of the dishcloths that you entered. There were 13 entries, I do believe. Different dishcloths. There was even a couple in there. People had put some scrubby yarn in, which was really exciting to see. Just in the corners or the halfway mark. That was really fun. Beautiful colors. The fall colors greens and burgundies and rusts, oranges. It was fun. You guys had some really fun stuff in your stash. And it was really fun to see everything. So I did a random number generator, and the winner was entry number 4, who is Lynn, and her Ravelry name is Steel Lady. So congratulations. So Lynn, I will send you a private message on Ravelry, and you can give me your address, and I will send you out 2 balls of dishcloth cotton. So they are, so you've got a red, which is red. It's a Christmassy red. And you know what? I still have this sage green up here, but I'm going to also ask you in the comment, because this is kind of not a real Christmassy green. Do I have, oh, I have some dishcloth cotton. Hold on. I'm going to bend down for 1 second. Oops. I just moved the camera down. Okay. I'm going to leave that alone. Sorry if I just jiggled you. I will look. I have an emerald green. I think I'm going to switch this out. It's a brighter, cheerier, happier green. I think I'm going to swap that out, but I will leave that in the message for you. Okay, everybody, that's it. So we will do another dishcloth knit along. We will do a Christmas one, probably the 1st of December, I'm thinking. So you can just keep that in the back of your mind, see what you've got for Christmas colored dishcloth, or see if you're out and about at Michael's or Walmart or Hobby Lobby, Joann's, wherever you get your dishcloth, or your local yarn shop if they sell dishcloth cotton. If you see any Christmas colors, you might want to pick some up if you want to take part in that. I think that'll be fun. I think that will be fun. I'm also thinking about doing a sock knit along in a couple of weeks. Probably should really probably figure this out before I start talking about it. I don't know what the date is, but in a couple of weeks, over on the Learn to Knit Socks with Off the Grid Needle Arts and Wildflower Wool, every few months we kind of do a sock knit along. So I think this would be a good time just before Christmas if anybody wants to knit a pair of Christmas socks for themselves, or if you want to get a pair done for Christmas. Caroline's videos are a great resource, so you can if you're interested in that, you can leave me a comment below if you think you'd be interested in the sock knit along over in that group. You can find some yarn, and in the next couple of days I'll probably put a post over in that group as well. Happy knitting, everybody. I hope that whatever you're knitting, if you're knitting for yourself or if you're doing some gift knitting, that you're getting lots of time and enjoying your knitting. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.